It is Sunday, the 10th of June, 2018. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Just starting up my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse and some other Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy, such as the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry of some of the atheists in the Unitarian Universalist religious community, who make many so-called Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregations anything but welcoming to God-believing people in general and Christians in particular. I could go on and on about, all of the ways Unitarian Universalists make a total mockery of the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. I could also go on and on about how Montreal Unitarians make a total mockery of their mission statement. This is the mission statement of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. It says, as a spiritual community, we welcome and nurture, we inspire and challenge, we take action in the world. Totally devoid of any moral and ethical content. The things that Montreal Unitarians welcome and nurture, some of them anyway, are immoral and unethical, borderline criminal, and even criminal. The things that Montreal Unitarians inspire are also, not all of them, but some of them, are indeed immoral and unethical and borderline criminal and even criminal. As far as what Montreal Unitarians challenge, well, they often challenge things that are actually quite moral and ethical and anything but criminal. They challenge my criticism of Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. They erase my chalk slogans. They bring false criminal charges against me, etc., in their efforts to challenge my ability to expose and denounce Unitarian Universalist injustices and abuses and hypocrisy. And indeed, the action in the world taken by Montreal Unitarians certainly has been and continues to be in a good number of cases immoral and unethical, borderline criminal, and even actually criminal action in the world taken by Montreal Unitarians. So yeah, they certainly do live up to that mission statement. Anyway, last Sunday they erased my chalk slogans, even almost as soon as I'd finished writing them. It's not unusual for Montreal Unitarians to erase my chalk slogans, such as this one, which says Unitarians cover up and deny sexual abuse of children. But last week, they were pretty heavy-handed about it. I mean, it's heavy-handed to begin with, but they erased my chalk slogans almost as soon as I'd finished writing them, and they did so repeatedly, even after I rewrote a slogan or two, if I'm not mistaken. So today we put down a few more chalk slogans, and some of them are out of hose range, so they're gonna not be able to erase a couple of the slogans. And we put down this big, huge slogan in front of the entrance here, which says, Unitarian Universalists censor and suppress clergy abuse victims and whistleblowers. Because they do exactly that, and not just by watering down, hosing down, erasing my chalk slogans. Amongst other things, the Unitarian Universalist Association, just over 6 years ago, on Friday the 1st of June of 2012, I received in my email inbox a cease and desist demand letter from the Unitarian Universalist Association's Canadian attorney, Maître Marc-André Coulombe, which amongst other quite laughable accusations said the following words: your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are defamatory. And then it went on to say that they are so defamatory that they constitute the archaic criminal act of blasphemous libel. Essentially, I was being accused of blaspheming against the Unitarian Universalist religious community because I blogged about some of their pedophiles and rapists. Oh look, the wind's covering up the pedophilia and rape. Well, yeah, there's quite a bit of wind in that legal letter. We'll just go put that back up. Yeah, pure wind actually, as George Orwell might say. Because, to start with, my allegations about Unitarian Universalists engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are by no means unfounded, as Maitre Marc-André Coulombe falsely claimed. They are actually very well founded, in fact, and there are actually newspaper reports about the Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and or rapists that I blogged about, reporting on how they were charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia and or rape. Specifically, Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell was convicted of the forcible rape of teenage Tibetan refugees who he had lured away from their families in India with promises of a better life in America. He essentially told their parents that he would take their daughters under his wing, and that he would take good care of them. He'd bring them to America, make sure they got a good education, and I think he maybe even promised that he would get them American citizenship and so on. And he proceeded to rape them, in one case in a period measured in years. The primary victim, who I will not name because she may not want to be named, she basically came under the, in quotation marks, care, guardianship of Mac Wallace Mitchell when she was 16 years old, and she was repeatedly raped until her early 20s, when she finally ran away and reported the rapes to some of the members of one of Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell's two Unitarian Universalist churches in Massachusetts. He presided over two Unitarian Universalist churches, one being the Westboro, Massachusetts church, and the other one being the Northboro, Massachusetts church. And his crimes were reported to the police by a few concerned church members. On the other hand, the Unitarian Universalist Association did seem to try and keep it hidden. I think there's evidence that they tried to get the victims to sign a confidentiality agreement, which could have prevented them from reporting the crimes to the police, but some well-meaning and right-minded church members reported the crimes to the police even before the victims did. These people are whistleblowers, and while I won't say they were censored and suppressed per se, which doesn't mean they weren't, what I can say is that they were shunned and ostracized by their other congregation members. They were very badly treated by their fellow Unitarian Universalists, a good number of them anyway, and they finally quit the congregations that they were involved with as a direct result of the abusive mistreatment of by their fellow Unitarian Universalists, because they actually did the right thing and reported the rapes to the police. There's also the case of Richard Buell, a parishioner of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein at First Parish Norwell, while Reverend Victoria Weinstein was the minister of First Parish Norwell. And he was charged, tried, and convicted of the forcible rape of pre-teen girls. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. So this is David Horan's daughter coming out with, oh, so you're going to help your church hide sexual abuse of children again this morning? Is that what you're up to? You're going to help Unitarians cover up and hide pedophilia and rape and other sexual abuse by erasing my chalk slogans which protest against the cover-up? Well done. Truly living up to all of the principles and purposes of Unitarian Universalism, including the one which calls for a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So, it's Shannon, I believe, Shannon Horan, who is a knowing and willful participant in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of pedophilia and rape and so on now. So I don't know what she's thinking, but she's making a total mockery of all of the principles and purposes of Unitarian Universalism by erasing this chalk slogan, which says Unitarians cover up and deny sexual abuse of children. Oh, maybe she changed her mind. Is it possible she changed her mind? No, she's just pulling out more hose. Hose isn't long enough, apparently. So there she is, the daughter of the religious education director, or one of them, of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, actively participating in Unitarian Universalist cover-up of sexual abuse of children. So, looks like there's a little discussion going on here. I'll remind you that erasing my chalk slogans violates the fourth and second principles of Unitarian Universalism, if not a few of the other ones. But it certainly violates the principle which calls for a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And it also violates the principle which calls for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. I believe it also violates the sixth principle of Unitarian Universalism, which basically rehashes that and calls for Unitarian Universalists to work towards justice in the world. So there's three Unitarian Universalist principles that erasing my chalk slogans actually violates. And it seems that Ms. Horan here doesn't seem the least bit concerned about flagrantly disregarding and violating the claimed principles of Unitarian Universalism by actively participating in cover-up of the truth about sexual abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers, and indeed Unitarian Universalist lay people like Richard Buell. So yeah, well done, well done. Yeah, very, very principled of you here to hide the truth about sexual abuse of children committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. You must be very proud of yourself. Oh, and you're also just proving my chalk slogan in front of the church, which you're no doubt going to go and erase soon. Oh yeah, water some plants just to pretend that that's your primary purpose. So there goes that slogan, erased by Shannon, if I'm not mistaken, Horan. And no doubt she's going to come and erase the other one. So let's get some good video of the other ones before they get erased. Unitarians cover up and deny sexual abuse of children. And so here we have Ms. Horan basically taking action in the world. She's taking action in the world by erasing my chalk slogan, which exposes the fact that Unitarian Universalists cover up and deny sexual abuse of children committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and so on. So this is how outrageously hypocritical Montreal Unitarians take action in the world. They take action in the world by hiding the truth about pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and Unitarian Universalist lay leaders like Richard Buell. So we'll see what Ms. Horan does here. But at least she's not assaulting me like her father does. Her father has physically assaulted me on several occasions. So, oh yes, that's it. Water the purple flowers. Water the dandelion while you're at it. I kind of like the purple flowers here. The color purple is a color chosen by David Lean as a way of raising consciousness to abuse of children, including, of course, egregious sexual abuse of children. So it's kind of nice that the flowers are protesting against Unitarian Universalist sexual abuse of children. And here comes the cover-up and the denial again. So, yeah, good old Ashley, or I should say not Ashley, what's her name? Shannon Horan, helping Unitarians hide pedophilia and rape in her religious community. Well done. Excellent. So don't forget this one. Don't forget this one. So right here, we got a slogan which basically is all about what Ms. Horan's doing right now. Unitarian Universalists censor and suppress clergy abuse victims and whistleblowers. I am currently blowing the whistle on Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse of all kinds, but in particular sexual abuse of children. And Ms. Horan has already erased 2 of my chalk slogans. She has censored and suppressed 2 chalk slogans which expose and denounce a Unitarian Universalist child sex abuse and Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of child sex abuse. So she's just proving my point here. I love it when Montreal Unitarians and other Unitarian Universalists only prove my point through their words and actions, which totally disregard and flagrantly violate the claimed 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, most notably the 4th principle, which calls for a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. You cannot have a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of my chalk slogan